what's up, everybody? I'm Susie B, and this is Habits and Humor, the show where you come to learn super simple ways that you can be healthy, happy, and successful in your life. We are talking habits, we're talking quick changes, we're talking all the different things that simplify your health. Because so many times the reason that we are frustrated or unsuccessful is because it's too complicated. It's overwhelming, and so we don't even know where to start. So today we're covering one topic that is super interesting and also super confusing for a lot of us. That is the topic of menopause, peri, post, menopause, all the different things. And we brought on a phenomenal guest today. I'll let her introduce herself in just a moment, but I just want you guys to know that you're not alone in this. There's so many of us that are going through the change, so many of us that are experiencing all the different things that go on with your body. Maybe you've already experienced it. Maybe you're in it right now, or maybe you're just planning ahead for the future. Whatever stage you're in, this podcast can help you. This episode can absolutely help you. And our phenomenal guest today is Stephanie Shaw. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, this is going to be super fun. So Stephanie and I connected because she also has a podcast. Tell us the name of your podcast and then tell us a little bit about you, your background, your story, and how you got to where you are.
Yeah. So podcast name is Hello Hot Flash, because, we're embracing the change over here.
I love that name. It's so great.
People always go to their work life. So I'll start there. I spent 20 years in corporate America, 10 years running a nonprofit. And then the last 2 of the nonprofit, I was really sick. So tingling in my extremities, twitching in my eyes, rapid heartbeat, hair falling out. What else was there? There was so much that I ended up going to 18 different doctors, 2 world-renowned medical facilities, and over $20,000 out of pocket.
Holy smokes.
I know my oldest son got his master's degree. I missed that party. My youngest son graduated from high school. I missed that dinner. So there was a lot going on in this 2-year time frame that no one equated to menopause. Like, no one talked to me about menopause, perimenopause. No one talked to me about nutrition, nothing. I was super convinced that I could get through whatever I was going through, because I didn't know what it was at the time, without drugs. I didn't want to take any type of medicine at all. So I just started reading and listening and learning and talking to people, and found out that I was just perimenopausal, not crazy. Or I was even being tested for things like cancer. And it was a lot during those 2 years. But that change in my estrogen and my progesterone levels really took my body for a loop. And that's why now what I do is I support women who are menopausal but want to get through this phase of life drug-free.
Holy smokes, that is a crazy journey. Holy moly. So tell us, what was the bigger issue for you during that time? Was it harder physically or harder mentally, or was it just a combination of the both?
It was both. It was physically because I could get up and go to work and fake it. So my board chair and my employees knew. The rest of my board of directors, I was running a nonprofit at that time, didn't know. Most of my funders did not know. So I could fake it until about 2:00 every day. So that was hard for me physically to be going to work. There was a 2-month time frame where I couldn't drive. But it was even harder mentally because I kept my blood sugar levels were perfect. My EKGs were perfect. The MRI, the CAT scan, every single test came back with nothing wrong, quote unquote, wrong with me. And that led to anxiety. So I ended up in the hospital ER quite a bit. If I would eat something and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's probably the cause of it, have an anxiety attack, rush to ER. Or I wasn't taking any prescription medicine, but even over-the-counter things for some issues that I was having, I probably took something once or twice and I have an anxiety attack. Oh no, that's going to make it worse. So it was both mentally and physically challenging. And what I always say is, I'm like, how can all these smart people not have figured out that I'm a almost 50-year-old woman and it's probably just menopause? So I have this grace in my heart for women who are going through this change but don't recognize what's going on, because it is physically and mentally tasking.
For sure. So how many of us have gone through whether it's the change or something else in our lives where we're just faking it and pretending like nothing is wrong. And, oh, you know what? It'll be fine. We'll just make it work. We'll just deal with it. How many of you are just dealing with it and are ready for some answers so that you don't have to just deal with it? I'm ready for some answers, Stephanie. I'm excited about this conversation. How do you start to see, all right, this might be the beginning of perimenopause, or this might be moving into how do we know if those symptoms, those things that we're experiencing are menopause related or not?
So I honestly, I didn't know until probably a year after I got through it. But I think one of the things you need to do more than anything else is listen to your body. So if someone is telling you, oh, you can't have a migraine one day and then tingling in the extremities the next day and then rapid heartbeat the next day, there should be some pattern, some rhythm. Your body, you know yourself. So I think that's one of the key things that women need to do is understand that it's their body, recognize what's going on, and be your own advocate so that you can move forward. Some of the things, there's 30 plus different perimenopausal symptoms, but some things you may not think about: the tingling in the extremities, dry mouth. So you might have dry mouth, you might have rapid heartbeat after you eat food or something like that. So there's a list I provide folks that I work with, but going through a checklist of what's going on in your body and finding someone who will actually listen to you is huge.
Definitely. So you listen to your body, and then you find somebody who will listen to what you are experiencing and not just explain away your symptoms. I love that. And I agree with you. I think that not everyone has been trained to deal with this, trained to recognize these symptoms and to realize, okay, there is something that we can do about it. All right. So we've gotten to the point where we know that this is what's going on. And now what? Like, what are some of the steps that we can do to naturally handle this change without having to turn to drugs and medication?
Yeah, I think lifestyle changes are huge. So when people are saying drink more water, there's for realness behind that. But there's also foods that are like phytoestrogens. So you can add flaxseed to your meal, or making sure that you're getting enough fat in your diet. A lot of women, that's a generalization. Oftentimes you may find a woman who only sees the weight gain. So, you're getting a little bit heavier. So I need to stop eating carbs. I need to stop eating fats. I need to exercise more. And that's actually the opposite of what needs to happen when we're menopausal. You need to understand how your body's working. And a lot of times that requires that you exercise less. It requires that you start to move from maybe some high intensity training to maybe some more gentle yoga practices, more stretching. And then definitely you want to lift weights when you are in menopause. Like, you want to stay strong so your bone health will stay in good shape. But from the foods perspective, don't stop eating food. You need to make sure that, again, you're getting complex carbs, good healthy fats, and proteins at every single meal, and making sure that you're eating your fruits and vegetables. It's also important that during this phase, a lot of times women don't sleep, but sleep is so important. So if you're eating right and you're exercising, but maybe you have a lot of stress in your life, stress on your job, stress in your home, eliminating that stress is going to help with the hot flashes and the sleepless nights and so forth. So it's like we have to work really hard as women all the time. It's this gamut of things that you can do, but food, exercise, stress, mindset are the key things that are going to help you, and sleep are going to help you get through the transition easier.
Excellent. All right, y'all. If you've ever worked with me, I talk about all those things all the time. And if we can turn those into habits, then when you go through this big, massive change, you've got that foundation in place that will carry you through. That's why I so encourage these habits and help you guys to just put the simple things that everybody thinks they're not sexy, they're not big, they're not elaborate, they're not extreme, they're not complex, and they're not what everybody's talking about on YouTube. But they are the things that work. And so I absolutely agree with this, that if you have those lifestyles in place before you go through this change, then that will absolutely help you. But if you're already in it, maybe you're already experiencing some of these symptoms, this is a great time too. It's never too late to create these lifestyle habits, right, Stephanie?
It's not. So I was eating as a vegetarian when I first started going through them. So I should have had it all down by then, but I didn't. But even being in the midst of it, of a 2-year journey, I was able to turn the tide. Now, it didn't take a week or two. It took probably close to a year for me to get completely healed. Gut, mind, stress, all of the stuff. But I was able to do it without medication because just like you said, I built healthy habits. I am going to eat every day at a certain time or in general around a certain time. I'm going to make sure that I'm eating. I'm going to make sure that exercise is part of my life. I'm going to make sure that I start to say no to a lot of things. And so I'm able to relieve stress. So you're exactly right. If you start to build those small habits, you won't feel as good as you did when you're 25. Oh, I'm sorry, you won't feel as good as quickly as you may have when you're 25, but you will get there and you will start feeling good then. I feel better now than I did when I was 25. Mind you, I was having a bunch of babies around that time. So,
True that. I
yeah,
think that anybody can agree with that though. Like at any point, most of us wait until something happens, some colossal thing that forces us into this change. And once
yeah,
we make the change, we're like, oh man, this is the best I've ever felt. I did the same thing. And I was just like mind blown. Like I've always been a fitness person my whole life. I've been super fit and super in the exercise realm, but I didn't really dive into the deep nutrition stuff until maybe 5 years ago. And it's made a massive difference for me. I absolutely am a huge believer in the holistic side of it. If you're just going all in on fitness, or if you're just going all in on nutrition, or just going all in on sleep and meditation, you're missing some pieces there. And so there's a lot of overwhelm that comes with that, right, Stephanie? There's a lot of people that think, oh, I have to change everything all at once. And that's what makes us quit. So how do we overcome that?
Yeah. So I think you said it perfectly. You were a guest on my podcast one time and you talked about how we start to build those small habits. So I will tell you, I was not the best steward of small habits because I've been sick for 2 years. I went in 100%. I'm like, I got to get this done. But I don't think I did it. I know I didn't do it the right way because in a different personality, it may not have been sustainable. So make small changes. If you're drinking 3 to 4 glasses of wine a week, why not drink one every other week? If you are not exercising as much, maybe you're getting up and moving 10 minutes a day just to start building some healthy habits that are easy for you to implement within your day. I think it motivates you. So 10-minute walk a day, I can 99% almost guarantee that 2 weeks from now, you're going, oh, I walked 20 minutes and I didn't think about it. And then 3 weeks from now, you're going, oh, I walked for almost an hour today and didn't think about it. So think about the big stuff and then break them up into little chunks that work for you. And then they start to become more part of your life.
I love it. And I love that you just said, do the thing that's easy to implement because it's motivating for you. So many of us want to start with the extreme, start with the crazy thing. And then after 2 weeks, we give up because it was just too much. And so instead, ladies, do it the opposite direction. Start small and then add on as you go. That's the beauty of habits, is it gets easier and easier as you go. So you can increase the level because now you're ready for it. Awesome. Beautiful, Stephanie. I love that. And I also like that you talked about how, if you're drinking 4 glasses of wine, cut it back to 1 instead of eliminating, ladies. We do not need to eliminate anything, but we do want to be in control. If you feel like those things, that either the wine or the coffee or the soda or whatever it is, feels like a routine, it feels like a need instead of a occasional want, that's where, okay, maybe this is something that I could work on managing. And Stephanie was saying, don't try to take it all on at once. Do a couple of things at a time. Start small and then add on as we go. So if you were to give us a recommendation of what we would start with that would make the biggest difference in the shortest amount of time, whether we're in menopause or not, what of those aspects would you start with? Nutrition, fitness, stress, sleep? Which of those would you start with?
That's like the most difficult question anyone ever asked me. Because
that's what we're here for. I want to dig in and get the good stuff.
My mind says nutrition and like really basic, simple stuff. Eat. I've had so many clients where they just don't eat. You need to keep your metabolism steady. So that's what my mind's saying. But my heart is saying stress, because I think when you start with the stress that's in your life and you're able to slowly identify, get to the root cause of what's stressing you out, then makes practical steps on how to eliminate that stress, all the other stuff, the nutrition, the exercise, that starts to become a lot easier. Because sometimes if you start the nutrition and the exercise, but you're still stressed out about XYZ, then you're going to want to eat or not exercise at night. So I guess if I had to pick one, I would say that to start working on the stress. Do them all at once. No, I'm just joking.
Stress yourself out about stress, right?
Yeah, stress yourself out about stress. Just, yeah,
That actually
start
is
with
one of the
stress.
tools that I use is to simplify the process so that health is not a stress. So many of us are
Yeah.
stressed about health, right? Us, this whole room right now, every one of us would raise our hand. Hey, I'm stressed about my health because there's so much to do.
Yeah.
So practice what I use in the Habitize Health program, which is 1, 2, 3 habits. Simplify it down. Pick 3 things to work on first. So nutrition, if somebody's like, you know what, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to do the nutrition aspect of this. You're saying you need to make sure that you're eating enough. What does that look like? How do we know if we're not eating enough, if we're eating too much? Is this a time frame? Is this a calorie count? What do you recommend for knowing if you're eating enough?
I hate counting calories.
Preach, woman. Yes, say that 5
I
more
know,
times.
right? I hate being denied food. So I will start with that. And I cannot prescribe because I think everyone's journey is a little bit different. But if I had to put some numbers to it, and I think your plate should look like 40% carbs, complex carbs. So, lots and lots of vegetables, about 40% of protein. So a good wild caught salmon, so that you get that fatty omega-3 and so forth. And then about 20% of some type of fat should be on the plate. So 40, 40, 20 is the split rule that I look at. Also making sure that I prescribe to the fact that I think you need to eat pretty much all day, but I know everyone does that a little bit differently. Of course, you have your 3 quote unquote main meals, but you need to be having snacks too. You should be eating a piece of fruit in between, or having a small palmful of nuts, or drinking some extra water, things like that, to keep your metabolism steady and then let your body know that you have not left it alone. Like when your body starts to understand, oh, it's not going to be 12 hours or 20 hours before I eat again, I can release whatever I need to release, your body will start working for you. But when you don't eat and you are skipping meals and so forth, your body says, oh, wait, gotta hold on to that because I don't know when she's going to feed me again. I think you should be eating more throughout the day. And do I do it all the time? I'll be honest, no. But I try really hard. On non-work days, I'm a much better.
Yeah, there's that pattern factor sliding in there. We generate those patterns and your brain and your body knows what to expect. And if you know for sure that every morning between 8 and 9 a.m. I'm going to get breakfast, then your body's like, hey, and you'll feel that. That's one beautiful thing that I've been studying a lot lately is the hormones, leptin and ghrelin, where you feel that hunger hormone start to work for you when it is time when your body expects to eat. And if you ignore that, then those hormones start to get out of balance and out of whack. And you guys know, if you're experiencing menopause right now, your hormones are already out of whack. We don't want to make it worse.
I know.
So definitely, I agree with you that create those patterns. Set a time of day where it works for you. First of all, for your physiology. Second of all, it just makes it easier. Like if you've already got this plan in place, then 90% of the time you'll be eating that way. And that can be super helpful. What about on those like 10% of the time? Maybe you're not feeling well that day, or if you're out of town or something comes up and you're super stressed at work. What can you do on those kind of unexpected days?
So I think if you try to do it at 100%, you're going to be more stressed out. I think I would be.
Agreed.
So I always have an 80-20 kind of rule. And on those days, maybe it is eating something that you really like, but maybe in a more healthful way. So I love a banana split. But what I start to do at night is take a banana and put some almond butter and some chia or flaxseed on it. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. This almost takes a banana split, or I'll freeze it. Getting what you want, but maybe in a more healthful way. And then every once in a while, if you just want to eat a banana split, eat it. Do you know what I mean? So
I love it. Yes. Every once in a while, just do the thing.
Yes. Every once in a while, just do the thing, because what you're not helping yourself if you're always depriving yourself, then it's not fun. To me, nutrition, I love to eat. I love to eat healthy food. I love to eat all day long. But if I was always worried about that birthday party or that special holiday that I had to deprive myself, it would stress me out during the other times. So I say, in moderation, you should feel comfortable enough that you've had enough quote unquote good days that you can eat something that if you're at an event, eat.
Awesome.
Kind of
I love it. Yeah. The 80-20
always
rule
tell
is
people
like,
to eat before you go. Yeah, but eat before you go too, so you don't eat way overeat. But
yeah, let's not put it all in at once. That's kind of the benefit, like she's talking about. That's the benefit of eating multiple times throughout the day, is so that when you go to eat, you don't need a huge amount of food. And smaller meals throughout the day are really beneficial for some people. And if that's not for you, if you're like, I eat massive meals every time I eat, and then you're eating 5 or 6 times a day, you're way overloading yourself, then go for the other route where you just eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you have that digestive rest between meals. So like she's talking about, just personalize it to you, listen to your body. If you feel like eating between meals helps you to be in control when you get to your next meal, awesome. If you feel like it's a hindrance, then awesome. Do what works best for you. I love that that's the advice that you're giving us here, is listen to your body and then take action that aligns with that.
Yeah, because everyone is so different. Like identical twins have different gut health. So I may need all of that. I may need to eat every couple of hours in order for me to maintain weight, but some people, they don't. There's physiology involved in it. So you're exactly right. You have to understand your own. That's probably the number one thing that you can do for yourself, is understand your body and then work towards what your body is telling you to do.
All right. So now let's cover fitness a little bit. I know we talked about sometimes you have to cut back on how much you're exercising. How do we know that one? How do we know if we're doing too much or not enough?
So that again is somewhat personal, but I also, when you start to go through menopause, you'll often find that no matter how hard you're working out, you can't lose the weight, or you're always feeling exhausted instead of energized by exercising. At that point, I would take a check. I would sit back and actually think, okay, every time I do this extreme workout, I'm like needing 4 days to recover. I'm super tired. It may be time for you to start pulling back at that point. That's what I would do. I would just think about how that's actually impacting your day, and then don't stop, but pull back and or change. If you're running 10 miles a day, which I have a relative that actually runs about 5 to 10 miles most days. So we were like, with her, I was like, let's go back to 3 to 5 miles. Just so she's not stopping what she's doing, she's just decreasing. So if you're doing super high intensity 5 days a week, maybe you want to do a 1 or 2 day high intensity workout. But again, recognizing what's going on in your body, because as we age, those high intensity workouts can start to work against us.
That's good to know. And the other thing is, like you just said, change it. Don't stop, but just change it. So if you're like, hey, high intensity worked for me 5 days a week for a long time, maybe let's keep that for 2 days a week. But that doesn't mean you only work out 2 days a week. That means that you do that 2 days a week, and you walk 2 days a week, and you do yoga 1 day a week. So fill that in with something else. Intentional movement during menopause, especially, is going to be so incredibly crucial. You don't want to have days of just total rest, because that's going to zap your energy. And then you're going to have that energy gap. You've experienced that, where you just, those times where you're not exercising actually makes it harder to start again because of that energy sap.
Yeah. And yes, exactly what you said. That's all super, super important. And I mentioned it earlier, but as we age, because the estrogen levels drop, osteoporosis can take place. So it's super important that in order that we keep good, healthy bones, that we are lifting weights as we age too. I'm not saying you need to bench press 200 pounds, but 5 pounds, 2 pounds, whatever it is, make sure that you're lifting weight as part of your normal exercise routine as well.
Agreed. Definitely. Especially for this particular age group. I always recommend for my clients between 8 and 20 repetitions. If you can not lift 8, you're probably lifting too heavy. If you can lift more than 20, you're probably lifting too light. So those of you that are like, oh, I want to start a fitness or I want to start a weightlifting routine, I don't know where to start. That's a good range. Kind of stay in that 8 to 20 range. That would be my recommendation. What are your thoughts on that, Stephanie?
I don't do fitness that much. So I think all of my fitness design is around my own lifestyle. And I usually partner with someone on that side. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, that's really good advice. I need to.
Good. That's good. That's why we're collaborating here. We do different things.
Yes,
Good. Okay. So the last question I want to ask is about sleep. What about if we just can't sleep? Maybe we're having those hot flashes that are keeping us up, or we just don't feel restful and our brains are going crazy at night. How do we fall asleep? And then if we're waking up multiple times in the night, how do we stay asleep?
So I would watch what you're eating at night. And if you're in the habit of drinking wine because you think that it's going to relax you and make you go to sleep, or drinking some type of alcohol, I would challenge you not to do that after work for a week or two and see how that will impact you. Because while you think that it is supporting you, it's not. It's causing the wake up because there's a lot of sugar involved in the alcohol and it's just not settling right with your body. So that's one thing that I would do. And then some of the other things like making sure your room is dark enough, making sure your room is cool enough, turning off your phone or not having your phone right by your bed at night. Cool pajamas work well for you as well as we start to age. I also use I used to use a diffuser, and I'll have lavender diffusing. Or I would also use a carrier oil. I couldn't think of that big word. Carrier oil, like coconut oil or almond oil, and put a drop of lavender in there. And then I would give myself a foot massage at night. And that helped me sleep as well. But back to, remember you said the one thing that you should handle? And I said stress. Stress is going to keep you awake at night as well. Stress and your drop in your hormonal levels. So you need to combat that stress if you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night. Because if you think about it, when you're waking up, you're probably like, oh my gosh, I got to do this at work. And the kids need to go here and all that stuff. So once you start to deal with all of that stuff, that will help you with sleep as well.
Beautiful. Okay, we're de-stressing. We're working out the right amount. We are working on nutrition. We're doing all the right things. What if we're still gaining weight? What could be the culprit here? Some of us are like, hey, we've got all of these things in place and I'm still gaining weight now that I never gained previously. What's up with that? Any insights on that?
I not being a physician, I don't know, but if you are seriously working with a coach, doing everything you need to do, and you're still gaining weight, you may want to talk to your primary care physician or your gynecologist to see if there's anything else going on. If you're perimenopausal, there's a test called FSH that they can take and determine if you're perimenopausal. And you can also ask your gynecologist to test your estrogen levels as well, because sometimes there may be some type of additional underlying cause for you not to be able to lose the weight.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you have all these systems in place, these are the things, guys. These are the answers. If you're drinking the water, if you're doing the sleep, got your veggies, you're eating the right amount of nutrition, you are working out consistently. If you're doing those things and you're still gaining weight, get some help. Talk to somebody. Maybe you're not working with a coach. Maybe you're not working with a nutritionist or somebody like that. Work there first and see, okay, maybe there are some gaps in the system. Maybe I think that I'm eating better than I actually am, or maybe I think that I'm working out at a level that really is right for me, but it really is detrimental. Work with somebody who knows. Reach out to Stephanie and say, hey, I would really love you to just take a deep dive into my nutrition and look at this for a couple of weeks. Or reach out to me and just say, hey, I would really love you to analyze my fitness routine, or get into Habitize Health and habitize these things. That is exactly what we do. We start with simple habits that create the foundation for everything else you do. And we turn them into habits so that you can be consistent. Consistency is the key to all of these different things. All right, Stephanie, this was beautiful. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're working on right now and where people can reach out to you.
Oh, sure. So I help women who are going through menopause get through the change drug-free. So I have an online course called Mastering Menopause, self-paced, and I also do a weekly podcast called Hello Hot Flash, and it's everywhere. So Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and you can listen to that. I try my best to get excellent folks on there like Susie, who can speak to you in regards to what's going on as it relates to hormones. So OBGYNs, functional medicine doctors, and so forth. And I'm just super, super passionate about not having any other woman have to go to 18 different doctors. So I do some one-on-one coaching with folks as well. And Beautiful. You can find me at Hello Hot Flash everywhere.
Yep. Hello Hot Flash on Instagram or anywhere else. And you guys got to listen to that podcast. It's great. I love your show, Stephanie. You do a fabulous job.
Thank you.
All right. So if you are joining us live, go ahead and stay here with us. If you're watching us or listening later, know that you can join the show live, because at the end of the show, we do a live Q&A session. So right now we're going to go ahead and close the recording. We're going to close the broadcast and just open up to the room to the people who are here. So if you are here, stay here. If you are catching this later, then realize that you should join us next week so that you can get in on this live Q&A. Thanks for tuning in today. Hey, ladies, before you go, I've got a few spaces open in Habitize Health. my Healthy Habits coaching program designed specifically for busy women ages 30 and up who want to prioritize yourself and get healthy and lose weight, but you struggle to find the time and energy to do so. If that's you and you want more results in less time and a simple, healthy lifestyle you can depend on, then go to habits.susybhabits.com and join us in Habitize Health. I'm Susie B, and this is Habits and Humor. Come to laugh, stay to learn, choose to live.